was kind of fun. Got a new toy. Hello, everyone. How are you? If you're still out there meditating, make your way on back. Hope you enjoyed the ride wherever it is you went. I've been having some interesting thoughts and contemplations about time and the experience, because I don't know if you guys have ever had some really long meditations that felt very short, or any other items like that in your existence, but I've had a few of those recently, and just, what just happened? That was an hour? What happened? Kind of makes you question a lot of different things, usually in a beautiful way. I like my picture a lot. I was actually contemplating on that for a moment as well. Doesn't really have that much to do with wealth or prosperity. And it's actually not a very nice house necessarily, but it looks cold. But I want to be there. There's some people that actually, if you look at the shadows, and they basically have some sleds, maybe they've been out having fun and laughing. I've had days like that. Makes you smile, thinking about being in that cold little house with a warm fire with some good friends after a long day. It really does make me smile. So, we are here tonight talking about prosperity. William chose as the theme for the month. And we'll be having 3 talks on prosperity this month. The last 4th and 5th Wednesday are going to be our Christmas Eve talk and our Burning Bowl ceremony, which are both wonderful events, and I really hope you come to them. We will be discussing things with you on the first 3 Wednesdays. William will be talking next week, and I am speaking on the 3rd week, in order to give William a break, because if you hang out around here, he's been quite busy. It's our arc for the month. We're attempting to keep a consistent container, and we will continue to do so. I'm not even saying we're attempting, we are currently, and we'll continue to do so, and we'll be presenting themes for you as we go along, so that if you come on a weekly basis, which many of you do, the message will build on itself in order that we can present a complete picture. It's actually a little laughable that I'm talking about prosperity in 20 minutes. It's a very large topic. We could speak on prosperity for a whole weekend workshop or a 3-day event, or hours and hours of talking. And we, over the course of this month, are going to present at least a foundation for what we believe prosperity can be and should be inside of our human existence. This is my foundation and my foundational belief as I have it right now. I will be including it in my talks. It's important because this is what I believe, and it will change and adjust as I grow, but I believe that we all have the power to heal ourselves, truly. And I believe that the path to do that is through actionable daily practices. And that has been my experience and the experience of many who've come before me. But if we can begin installing good habits in our life and in our thought processes, we have the ability to heal us from the inside out. And the exact same environment with a different player can be a much different experience and a much different life. So I like definitions. And prosperity, when I say it, most people think of money. It's just like instant. It's like rich. It's a very, very quick shot. We live in a materialistic world of fast things and fast cars. 30 years ago, nobody wanted to be famous. It was, I think, 1% of people said they wanted to be famous. And now I believe it's like 94% of people say that they want to be famous. Or some ridiculous thing with the newer generation, maybe in the 70s. Regardless, I think it was 72% of people in the younger generation said they would rather be Kanye West, or not Kanye West, but a celebrity's assistant than be the president of Harvard. Assistant. And so prosperity, when taken as a monetary value, can get a little out of whack. And so I am presenting a different definition of prosperity, one that is not founded purely on a monetary principle. For I find that monetary principles are external and thus changing at an even more rapid rate than my internal environment, which is already changing at a rapid rate. And thus, tonight, when I'm discussing prosperity, I see it as safety, security, joy, connection. The founder of my school of yoga, a wonderful man, Swami Sivananda, says health is wealth, saying it back in the 1800s. And I truly find that to be true as well. I'm very sure that I have many very rich friends who have Alzheimer's who would give a lot of money to not have Alzheimer's. And I have a lot of very rich friends who have died, who have given a lot of money to be able to spend more moments with their children. And so restructuring prosperity has allowed me to restructure the priorities in my life, which has allowed me to begin that healing process that we were discussing before. And it's important that we frame it this way, because before we can talk about abundance externally, we have to talk about abundance internally. It's an inside-out reflection. It projects out, not in. Switching to mine. What is health? So I just laid out a couple things for you here, but physical, emotional, mental, relational, spiritual. There's a lot going on in this one unit, this one body that I am walking around in. And I was discussing this with a friend the other day, River, actually, that I find it fascinating how often, even in my own experience, I would just pretend like my mind and my body weren't attached for some reason. Like my mind experience had nothing to do with the stuff that I was putting in my mouth, had nothing to do with the rigors that I was putting my body through, had nothing to do with me having not taken a bath in 7 years, right? Or not having proper care, like self-love routines. My anxiety has nothing to do with not having putting lotion on in 3 years. It's silly. But when you begin relating those two environments, you get a greater control over the emotional state and the mental state. And this is talked about ad nauseum. This is a wonderful example of a wellness wheel. And so my favorite portion of this wheel is that financial is just one. And I put this out there. You can find these online. I just took a wonderful class on wellness. There's all types of wellness plans, wellness practices you can do. We are infinite expressions of an infinite power walking around infinite earth. Not infinite, but basically for the amount of choices that we have. And thus, we all have to find our own pathways and our own patterns that we like to use in order to find healing and to find our discipline. Thus, as I'm going through some of these examples, this is very broad. This is very broad. We're just setting a foundation for a different restructuring of prosperity going into our month. We are denying, if you've been around with me, the concept that prosperity and abundance is a monetary principle. And really setting that stage. Because with that lingering thought right up in here, it becomes very difficult to use the spiritual principles and powers that we're going to continue to discuss. The ego will become involved and eradicate and cause doubt, and it becomes an issue. We're talking about the larger principles of alignment. On the third week, we're going to be discussing Eric Butterworth's spiritual economics and some of the tools and methodologies that are very useful there. In order to do so, cultivating an inward environment which is founded in faith and founded in a broad scope and picture allows us to be acting without so much hindrance. Our experience. This is a unity representation and one that I love very much and I have used and will continue to use. We are the light projector of the Christ consciousness, the divine consciousness, the oneness, Atman, Brahma, the light shining into this projected reality. The yogas actually call this your projection. They call it a projection, even way back when. That was the word they used. Buddha used the same word. This is a projected reality. It's coming through filters. So the light comes through filters, comes out into this projected reality. The filters are our thoughts and our mental state primarily, which are the Jungian shadows, the trapdoors, the automatic systems we have been ignoring. For my life, I had a lot of trauma events that I didn't want to look at. Wasn't able to come to terms with. A lot of grief events I had not healed from. Friends committing suicide. Very good people, very close to me. I was a drug addict for years. I lost a lot of very good friends in very traumatic ways. Those filters completely were adjusting my projected physical reality in the form of negative or emotional relationships, in the form of inability to have either financial prosperity or just prosperity of my environment or be organized. The ability to do things that other people could do that seemed easy were difficult for me. And I could never really figure out why. And it's my experience and it's the background filters which we need to eradicate. Your cravings, fears, and habits and old stories are lenses over your inner light. They interpret. It's kind of fascinating. I love a lot of the Buddhism, the Zen, they talk about, well, all of them do, the mind being like a still body of water. And when it's completely still, it's just reflecting back your experience. And when the mind is angry, it's boiling. It's lust, it's colored red. That's what it feels like. These different things that were happening in my experience, these different things didn't allow myself to be still. It was just this swirling amalgamation that I wasn't even really aware of. I was just kind of going along. Throughout the process, prosperity as a word has become distorted. And our minds have distorted what that means. And I experienced this a lot. You don't have to take pictures. I'll have a QR code you can at the end that you can download it if you want. You're more than welcome to. But you can also take pictures. But prosperity gets distorted. And I lived in this reality for years. And it was one that drove me to be very miserable. But it becomes an external source. We're seeking for prosperity in things that we can't control. We're trying to gain material wealth. We're trying to gain material possession. We're trying to gain fame. We're trying to gain repute. We're trying to just have my dad be proud of me. We're trying to get the girl that I wanted. We're trying to get the car, then I'll be happy. It's an inside-out reflection. And when we are attempting to solve the inside reflection with external circumstances, it just ends up being a very empty existence. The amount of millionaires who commit suicide, telling you. We can restructure this. We've been talking about this. This is the same concept with denials and affirmations, that language has power, right? And so restructuring how we talk to ourselves about events, about experiences, allows us to undistort the concept of prosperity inside of our own existence, to one that actually makes sense and to one that we have some ability to have some control over. But I'm sorry, I don't know what the stock market's going to do. I can't control the economics. I can do things really well, but I don't always have control over the external experience, but I do have control over my internal reaction to that experience. I have control over how I can be inside of my own experience in order that I can be the best representation of myself. No amount of accumulation can correct a false perception of self. If we don't think that we're worthy, it doesn't matter how much money you make. I'm telling you, I did it. Like, you can be really wealthy and just like hate yourself. It's totally possible. It's totally possible. And so it's not to say that you shouldn't make financial means. It's to say that we want to structure it in a way, and we'll get there as we go along, that we're setting ourselves up for success as we go along. This is Matthew. You guys can read it. It's a parable. It's a very shortened version of the parable. But Jesus, the Christ, the way shower, spoke in parables. They were lessons that he gave because they had multiple levels, multiple representations as you went along and read them. If you read them as a 7-year-old, they would have just as many good lessons for you as if you read them at 93, because the experience was so universal. Talking about a man found the kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field. When a man has found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that field. So, spirituality and the connection that we can find internally when projected outwards is a greater treasure than anything a politician will be able to give you, anything an award will be able to give you, anything any monetary means will be able to give you. So, what I found to be beneficial in my own experience, and that many of us find to be beneficial, is to really just look at the need versus want versus craving structure. Need versus want is a great place to start. So, let me restructure my own thoughts as I'm coming into need versus want. I'm going to give a sip of my tea. Mindfulness has a wonderful effect, which is not necessarily the inherent effect, the chosen effect of mindfulness. But when we bring mindfulness into our experience, as we've been discussing over the past few weeks, and we begin spending maybe 15 to 20 minutes noting what our mind is doing inside of meditation, inside of walking, inside of eating, wherever we want to spend the moments, we can begin seeing a relationship with want and need. We can begin seeing how the mind will attach or grab or yell about one thing or another in order that we get it. It's my experience that the more that we can separate needs versus wants versus the cravings that we're experiencing, we can begin to differentiate the root causes of these cravings and get rid of them. So what becomes difficult is how do we focus on the needs and the wants throughout our day-to-day existence? How do we narrow down what is important inside of our existence and what isn't when we're looking through everything through filters, or we're lacking, or we're in a position where we feel like we're not going to be okay? How can we spend the moments to be looking at that? How can we restructure? How can we actually have a positive impact on our life? It's my experience that one of the best places to start is to start looking at minimalism. And to start looking at methodologies that you can start structuring and creating boundaries around needs and wants in your own life in a normal, healthy manner. That can look a lot of different ways, right? And remember here, we're talking about a foundational tonight. Going forward, we'll be giving a little bit of a deeper dive into prosperity, but this is just a light touch on what we're going on through. But minimalism is a wonderful concept to begin bringing some liberation into your own existence. What does this look like? It looks like, do I need more than 7 t-shirts? Do I need more than 10 t-shirts? It looks like, do I need the extra case of thing from the grocery store? Right? Those are all like very, very basic, very simple ways that we can practice minimalism. It also looks like clearing some space out of our own existence, restructuring our household. It sounds weird, but I swear I've cleaned out cabinets underneath my stairs and like released the trauma from my dad hitting me when I was a kid. Serious. Like it's a projection on the outside. Now, those are very base level things that we can do, right? What I'm pointing at is that we can start in very small, controllable areas on a physical representation, which allow us to start moving backwards into a mental representation. So the mental experience is the filter between the light and the physical. We don't have the ability to affect the light. And if we've been living with these filters, we don't always have the ability to affect the filters. And we're working on the filters, and in my experience, I'm working on the filters, and I'm doing my things, and I'm trying, and I'm going to church, and everything else. But I do have the ability to affect the physical environment around me. And it's been shown over and over and over again that if we can begin affecting the physical environment around us, it will begin opening space inside of our internal environment for some of these principles to move through. And we don't just work with just physical environment. I'm just pointing out some very basic practices. We have 20 minutes tonight. Top level. But the physical representation is important. What's important with the physical representation is your physical health and body as well. We can begin cleaning out and taking care of our physical body. Begin taking on practices to take care of our physical body. That prosperity will reflect over into the rest of your environment. It leaks in this beautiful, beautiful way. And the other thing we can do is we can start installing practices. Simple, daily practices. Like meditating for 15 minutes. All these types of things. The projections are not always going to come through in a monetary format. And thus, if we begin working in meta practices, we begin working in meditative practices, we begin working in breathwork practices, and represent internally the external with some of the cleaning practices and the movement practices come together in conjunction to allow for the light to be shining through much more clearly. I have out in the front on my little table a very simple metta practice. If you're not familiar with metta, it is a practice from the Buddhists. I've been giving a lot of Buddhism. And it is one in which you are cultivating and creating an environment for happiness, love, and compassion for other beings on purpose. And so what you do is you sit every day for 5 or 10 minutes, and you chant, "May I be happy and free. May Kate be happy and free. May Paul be happy and free. May William be happy and free. May River be happy and free. May Eric be happy and free. May Diane be happy and free." And I do this. And I allow my mind to just roll through people. It's wonderful who will come up. It really is. And you can do different words. There's multiple representations. There's 4, which are traditional to the Tibetans. The Buddha had some other representations by it, but there are sheets out in the front. You're more than welcome to take them. This is a minor daily practice, which cultivates a massive amount of prosperity in my own experience. It is amazing to me when I want you to do well, how much less I'm focused on my own challenges. It is amazing when I cultivate love for you, how much more I can love myself. And so we do that with an actual daily practice. And it has been transformative in my life, as well as the yogas and the kriyas and the mantras and the meditation and the prayer. It's in the hours that your perspective on prosperity shifts on its own. You know, it's not like I was doing all these practices going, man, prosperity, prosperity, prosperity. Before we leave, we have to talk again about denials and affirmations. We were just here in my last talk talking about denials and affirmations. So denials, in this case, mean that we are already aware of what's going on. So we've talked about Jungian shadows. From the shadows, we identify the shadows. When you identify the shadows, you can use tools on the shadows. Some of the tools you can use on the shadows is noting, affirmations, and denials. So I'm going along in my day, and I notice that something happens, and I begin looking at it in lack. I begin seeing it from a perspective which is not one focused on prosperity in the whole picture. I use denials. This craving is not a need, I release it. Oh, something I need to talk about as well. The larger methodologies for the practices of being able to get a hold on your relationship with materialism inside of this existence are retreats and fasting and larger austerities. Those are all normal things to do inside of spiritual practices. Many yogas prescribe fasting 1 day a week. If you fast 1 day a week, it is amazing what that will do to your relationship with prosperity. I know they don't seem connected, but when you can spend a day a week going, I don't need that. And then every week you go, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to. And then you do it. And you go again, I don't need that. It affects prosperity greatly. When you can spend a few days in silence, stretch that comfortable zone in a very healthy way, you begin affecting your relationship with prosperity. You begin realizing that the noise and the stuff doesn't matter as much when you haven't eaten nothing but mung and rice for 3 days of silence and you're happier than you've been in your entire existence. Right? You begin having these experiences of inward beauty and inward joy reflecting out. Right? Those are the greater austerities. Enjoy them. I do them. A lot of people do them. They bring a tremendous amount of freedom in your own experience. So does cleaning your cabinets. And so does using denials on what happens. So as we're going throughout our experience, things will come up and we can deny it. We can say that is not true. That does not reflect the light that I know is behind these filters. And then we can affirm what is true. I'm supported by a field of infinite sufficiency. I already have what I need to fill this moment fully. That is one I really like, actually. It's true in almost every moment of your existence. Like almost every moment of your existence, you have everything you need in that moment. I trust the flow of life to meet me where I am, and I rest in the truth that I am already whole. My wholeness is not defined by my bank account. My wholeness is not defined by my physical body. My wholeness is not defined by your opinion of me. My wholeness is inherent. And from that place is where we start talking about the spiritual economics. Because it's not manifestation. Sorry. It's alignment. That's spiritual economics. I am whole. I am operating from a place of such wholeness and divinity that it expresses an abundance inherently, but that is not the goal or the mission. Manifestation is attached to your ego primarily. Well, no, I can't say you. Manifestation can be associated with the ego and is a different form of the use of a similar power. Manifestation is, I want a red car. Alignment is, I need a vehicle or an ability to transport myself safely so that I can be of service to others, or whatever that happens to be. This happened actually recently. I had a friend call me and said, I want to be a famous musician. He's been driving in his car saying, I want to be a famous musician. And I actually agree with him 100%. Yes, it's actually a very good thing to do, to drive for 45 minutes on your way to work repeating something. I did it when I was 19 years old, starting my first company. I would walk my dogs every day. I would say an amount of money I wanted to make every day, plus a ranch in Montana. This amount a day plus a ranch in Montana. This amount a day plus a ranch in Montana. I'll tell you what, 10 years later, I had a 120-acre ranch in Oregon, and I was making money. And I was miserable and suicidal. Cheers. Alignment is, I want to be a herd musician. That spreads a message that brings people joy and love and makes them feel filled up. I want to fill stadiums with people dancing with love and happiness. And I know that that creative expression will inherently bring abundance so that I feel secure inside of my own existence. So that I know that my dreams are already being fulfilled because I am being able to be commuting with these people and being with these people and creating music with these people and expressing with these people. And my bills are paid for and I am okay. That's alignment. Subtle. When we begin talking about spiritual economics, the subtleties matter. When you begin talking about metaphysics, intention and motivation is the entirety of the game. That is the background layer of metaphysics. The intention. The same action done with two different intentions is a metaphysically different action. We'll talk about this later on as we get to the third week. These are useful. I use these in moments where I feel scared. Hand on the belly, hand on the heart. Feels very nice even doing it right now. You can hug yourself. But I use these often. I am whole. I use a lot. Like divine life is my life and wholeness is my nature and well-being is my natural state. Oh. It's important to have these things lined up. And they don't come lined up without the practice. You don't have this stuff in your back pocket if you're not doing it every day. You just have it. It begins altering your experience. As the rest of the wheel fills out, you'll be okay. Thank you so much. Thank you guys. I put this up here. If you guys want to scan it, you'll actually you can download the PowerPoint. I had a few people ask me last moment, so you can download that on there. You can also check out the videos or anything else that I have. But thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come here and talk with you guys this evening. And like I said, William and I are going to be giving a good representation of prosperity going right into the Christmas season. And we really hope that it allows you to look at this season in a way not filled with materialism, but rather one filled with love and harmony, and seeing the abundance of community that we have available, the abundance of love that we have available, and the abundance of support that we have available inside of our community, because I don't know what the economy is going to be doing, but we'll be here spreading that message. So thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. Oh, questions?
Yeah, this is the part where we get to ask questions or comments or just process what was being talked about. Well, for me, one of the biggest ones that came in my own relationship with prosperity was that prosperity is not outside of me. I had spent so much time trying to find things that I thought would make me happy and came up empty over and over again. The idea that if we can find that prosperity within us and find our own loving kindness within, then it starts manifesting around us. Mm-hmm. That this matrix we live in and we perceive of is responding to us constantly. And if we're thinking thoughts of lack and living lives of lack, will show us evidence of lack. Mm-hmm. But when we can accept ourselves for who we are and love ourselves for who we are, this matrix will respond to us in kind.
Did you see my little guys I brought for the altar? They're the hear no evil, see no evil. I don't have a speak no evil guy. I think he got broke by one of the girls. But if you hear no evil and see no evil and speak no evil, evil does not exist.
And I take that one, which I had an epiphany on the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, and that is see only love, hear only love,
Cheers.
speak only love. Even if someone's being ugly, even if someone's a nightmare and in deep anger or resentment or disdain, to know that's just a facade over a jewel of a human being who's mistaken right now.
I say start with yourself.
Yeah.
Speak love to yourself. I was so much harder on myself than I was other people. Being able to really get inside there and be like, what is the internal dialogue that I have about myself, you know? And like you said, it's an inside-out reflection. And we begin changing that internal dialogue. You said, remember that story you said about Elowen carrying the soup or whatever it is, and you got mad because she was going to spill it? Yeah, I know, right? The internal dialogue is the little boy.
Yeah.
Who got hit by his dad or yelled at. I mean, I don't know, you know?
That's a great victory in this life. Is I used to get up in the morning saying, Billy, you worthless piece of crap, get your ass out of bed. Literally beating myself up in my own mind. And I feel like if I died today, this life would be a victory because I've learned to love myself and be kind to myself, even in the private conversations of my own mind. And when I get into a spin of being really critical of myself or feeling like I'm failing, I can recognize that and know that's not me. That's not my truth. That's not who I am. And what I've also noticed is the more that I can love myself, the more I just want to love everyone around me. It's hard for me to witness a friend speaking badly about themselves and saying, hey man, hang on, time out. That's not what you are. You deserve more. And what I've noticed too is when we trust someone, we make them trustworthy. When we believe in someone, we give them permission to believe in themselves. When we honor someone else, we're showing them they're worthy of honor. When we practice these things with ourselves, it's natural we'll treat others the same, but we're lifting up the consciousness of this reality. It isn't that it's happening to us, it's happening for us. And it's as though, let's say you're a surfer on a surfboard and a wave's coming in, and you miss the wave and the wave crushes you all the way to the shore. When I get to live a life where I'm loving myself and respecting others, I'm riding that wave, and this life will rise up to support me. And that's abundance and prosperity.
Yeah, I agree.
It doesn't necessarily show up on a credit score or a net worth.
I think it would eventually show up on a credit score.
Well,
Maybe
I
not the
mean-
net worth, though. I'm just being facetious. I would say for myself in relation to what we're talking about this month, I'll preach it from the high hilltop, that the only way for me to really start changing those inner dialogues was to begin externally taking care of my body. Really, it started with taking care of my physical body in a way that was loving. You know, I give, you know, before I do a bath, like, thank you to my shoulders and that. And it sounds a little dramatic, but taking those things into effect or actually taking care of my feet. Right?
For me, it's
Yeah.
cleaning. I'll start
There
sweeping.
you go. Yeah.
I'll put clean sheets on my bed. I'll sweep my house.
Yeah.
I'll wipe the counters down.
Make a nice meal for myself. And, you know, you can start having a different relationship with your experience, you know? And when you start having a different relationship, it begins, like you said, transferring out to everybody else. It's really wonderful.